This is a recording about the Makleys family, written in 1943 by my hand on the island of Oahu, the first and most important island of the Hawaiian island chain. I wrote this with the intention of mailing it home, but now, over 30 years later, I found the copy laid away in my many files. I wrote this up in my spare time while I was incarcerated at Hickam Field housing near Pearl Harbor on the lovely island paradise of the Pacific. I don't think I sent it. Anyway, it follows. Hello, folks. People say my singing isn't so good. I can't whistle so good. I'll admit that. But I can talk, so I'll just give a bit of a spiel on the fine qualities of the Makleys tribe. That is, the ones that are keeping a log on the fire. To begin with, I'll give you a salutation which was prompted by the old saying, say hello to Father. So I cannot really start this illuminating talk without saying, hi, Father. To begin with, there is Maw, the best ever, and a swell sport along with it. And Paul, or Pop, as we called him, he rated a close second. Paul has one thing over on Maw which never seemed to bother her much. He is accomplished at the fine art of brewing good beer and wine, making Tom and Jerry's, and in general being the perfect bartender. Besides, even going so far as to drink his own concoctions. On the other hand, Maw, being a farmer's daughter, specializes in growing things, and she really knows her stuff. You can readily see that by taking a look at the Makleys truck garden and the fit chickens in the coop. Come flood or high water, you will see Makleys truck garden in full bloom at growing season's time. By the way, 1944 was an exception. Besides taking care of the garden, the house, keeping Paul out of mischief, and saving a nickel when she only had a penny to go on, she raised a family, and what an outfit it was. Never a dull moment. People wondered how she stood it. So do we now. Those are the two heads and brains of the Makleys family. I could go on for an hour and still not cover the fine qualities of that pair. They are 2 in a million. I will now render a little ditty that I have copied from another song Florrie Emmons and I used to sing after a bit of rum in Mom's behalf. There's a spot in my heart that no calling may own. There's a place in my memory, my heart that's so full. No one can take it, no one ever will. Sure, I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all furrowed and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear fingers so toil-worn for me. Oh, God bless you and keep you, Mother Makley. Oh, God bless you and keep you, Mother Makley. And now back to the Makley family. Snuffy is next. He is First Lieutenant Maters of Maters and Maters. His given name is Clarence Frederick, but don't call him that because he won't answer. His handle is Snuffy. He is the best all-around mechanic and welder in the Midwest. The guy has so much patience he isn't human. His hobby is collecting old guns and relics of the old days. Because of this hobby, he acquired the nickname Snuffy, which was taken from Snuffy Smith, the funny papers, by Joe Spaulding of Dayton. Now, folks, don't get the idea that Snuffy was old-fashioned. Far from it. He is a pretty up-to-date young fella. He is accomplished at the art of manipulating this new flying gadget, the airplane, through the ozone. That is quite an accomplishment for a young fella. When it comes to motorcycles, airplanes, and sailboats, Snuffy could write a book. I'll have to take the time to quote one story about Snuff. He says that at the tender age of 1 year, he remembers being engaged in throwing blocks into the St. Mary's River, which was on a rampage at that time, the 1913 flood. It still seems unbelievable, Snuffy, Even Ma, who has always been noted for never saying yes or no to us, just maybe, says no to that. Next we have ex-Second Lieutenant Maters, of Maters and Maters. I say ex because it so happens that he is the only male member of the family to have had a successful love life. It seems that this fact has stopped a promising flying career. The guy in question is George Andrew. I really think he is smart, though, on account of he did all right. By the way, he is now the father of a swell little gal. Hi, father. One thing about George, he admits he don't remember the flood. Being a member of the Will Makley and Sons Fix-Em shop, he has to be a good mechanic and a good welder. The black-haired one does all right, except for the fact that his mechanical life centers around junk piles. Stuff on me, too. Next is the third oldest. I would rather not mention much about that one. We all know he is a screwball. We will let it ride for now, for the time being. I believe there are varied opinions anyway. Anyway, following the screwball, we have Wilhelmina May. It was a break when Lightning Schaumburg gave her the name Weed because of her seedy appearance at an early age. Weed is a gal who was always throwing things in coffee, putting toothpicks in pie, and otherwise disrupting a good meal. You always knew when Weed was around, and you could easily tell when she wasn't. If she wasn't pounding the piano keys, she was waking you up in the wee hours of the morning with her many courtships. It was even disgusting at times how long it took her to say so long. How she finally fell for the guy she did is beyond me. He can't even write. For 2 years, I waited for a letter and none came. That's how I know. He sure wouldn't tell anyone he couldn't write, even after I helped him celebrate and drink up half the liquid in the country when he was married. In spite of all that, Weed is a good egg, and even though I hate to admit it, she did all right. She tells me Fat is a wonderful husband. If he is, that is the reason he can't write. He spends too much time being a husband. Weed has a swell family, 2 young men and a tomboy girl coming up. She wants a ball team. Oh, remember? Next is the athlete of the family. We used to call him Shorty in his school days because he was shorter than we were. Now that he was the biggest, we just can't get over it. We still call him Shorty. Carl Lewis is his real handle. But due to the present conflict with our foreign neighbors, he has acquired the rank of sergeant. Sergeant Makley is a member of the largest organization in the world today, the U.S. Armed Forces. He has spent some time in creating the illusion that he is a welder. I guess we can't say too much on that account. We try to make people believe the same thing about us. It's a racket. Anyway, snuff started. Like the rest of the Maters, he is awful slow in romance. Ma Makley sure must get tired of seeing all those feet under the table for so long a time, and such big feet, too. Under the circumstances, Shorty has done real well by himself. I understand he is the first Makley to be snowed under in real mountains. In the South, too. Good at football, swims like a fish, built like a brick house, and a pretty stiff customer. And to think I used to clean him wrestling in my youth. I have to admit he's a good welder, too. Rosie is next in this dialogue of Maters. She is now an employee of the wool mill, which is one of the first factories of St. Mary's. Rosie has never been as much of a tomboy as her sister Weed, but she don't do bad. The legend of Q Dora, started by Weed around an old wreck of a Ford, has been held up and continued by Rosie and her gang. A cool customer, that gal, and streamlined as a P-38. One of her many skills is photography, or maybe I should say I hope it will be, because I sure want to get these pictures pictures of mine done up before I kick off. One thing about Rosie, she never played the devil with my food as another person I know did. Rosie is a swell gal and not bad looking either. I really believe she's going to amount to something someday. She sure is an easygoing gal. I guess I had better not say no more about Rose, except that I hope I get those pictures someday. Now we come to little Andy, baby of the family. Ratface is his nickname. He also belongs to that big organization, the Armed Forces. Andy is a sergeant, also now, and no longer a little fellow. He always sort of confused the family with his status in the Air Corps. He seems to be in two different outfits at the same time. Anyway, he is the only one of the maters to have the distinction of being in the air without an airplane. Quite an accomplishment, even if they did have to kick him out of the plane the first time. Sergeant Andy has spent enough time in the South to be a Southerner. He is a welder too. At least he claims to be the same as the rest of us. Andy takes things in his stride and is really doing okay. In closing, I will say that any objections to any of the foregoing statements is irrelevant and immaterial and will be overruled. Anyway, you will have to admit